On the last video, I mentioned all of the supplies you'll need. I did miss a few things though, and I did have to add something else. So let me go over what we'll need for this budget in this video. We are doing a weekly budget, so we will need a calendar. Dollar Tree sells calendars. I will be using February and March because those are the months that we'll be working with. And then I also have just some scrap paper, scrap paper to the side, just so I can write on and throw it away and not mess up my book. We will need a calculator. I got this at the Dollar Tree, but if you have a phone, you don't need to buy one. Also, I have a pencil, a regular black pen. I have my set of highlighters that I love to use when I write my budget. I have a ruler. You don't need a ruler. Let me see. You could use like a straight edge of this notebook for something else. Let's see. I got like some stickers here. You can use that straight edge. Another planner, just something with a straight edge. It doesn't have to be a ruler. And then I have our book with our financial goals in there. And this is the book we'll write our budget in. But what I added also was another one because we need to track expenses. And so I didn't want to do all that in one book just because it'll take up too much space. So what I did, I started out with another book. This is another book that my kids had. I just ripped out some pages. I didn't go out and buy it. So you will need your budgeting notebook. And then if you can get an extra notebook or some paper for now, I'm using my highlighters. I like to write in pencil in case I mess up. So that's just me. So these are the supplies. A few other things that I wanted to mention is Capital One transfers. I made a video explaining if you didn't know how to open an account. I showed how you can open an account with Capital One. I did forget to mention that it takes time with those transfers. So, for instance, I get paid on Thursdays and I will set up a transfer to go to Capital One for Thursday, but the money won't actually leave my account for a few days. So, that's something you need to pay attention to. Keeping up with the amount of money in your account and when it's moving, because what I have 2 checking account and 1 savings account. I have my main bank account, which is local, and that's where my paycheck comes into. And then I have a Capital One checking account that I use as like a buffer account for extra. I keep a little extra money in there in case I need to swipe my card for something. And then I also have that savings account. So what I do, I set up a transfer. It takes 3 days. So I set up a transfer for that Monday, for that, or Tuesday is best, for that money to get transferred over to Capital One. And so when my money hit on Thursday, it'll get transferred over to Capital One. And then I'll log into Capital One and I will put my savings in my savings account, my $5 savings. That's what I do. I put that over there into that account. And then anything else that I need for my buffer that I'm just keeping in the account, I'll just leave it right there in that checking account with Capital One. Another thing, if you work overtime, I know most people have to work overtime now just to cover the bills. I know my husband at one point was working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I get it. But if you are having to work overtime to cover the bills, that's understandable. But if you do your budget and you realize, okay, I'm working overtime and I do have some extra money left, then you might want to save that money. Focus on saving any extra money like overtime and stuff. Because once you get that budget wrote out, you'll be able to see where your money going. You may have extra. So I encourage you, if you able to, continue to work that overtime, but add all money you make from it to savings. That'll be a big boost. And then another thing, remember to account for your days off. So if you know you work 40 hours a week, you work Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, then you know your check is usually about the same. But if you know, okay, in February I requested off because of a birthday, and then this week I'll be off, that week I'll be off. When you write your budget, you need to make sure that you account for those days. You can't forget to subtract whatever money you're gonna miss. Okay. Another thing is make budgeting fun. What I'm doing, like I make a plan for when I'm gonna budget. Otherwise, I may not get it done. So I'm home usually on the weekends, cleaning, cooking, just preparing, working on videos, whatever I need to do, working on orders. And so when I write my budget, I have a plan. I sit down at 6 p.m. on Sunday, and I've been trying some new teas. I like tea, and I like to try out different flavors, stuff I have never tried. I just got that idea. I want to try some new stuff. So I've been trying out new teas while I'm budgeting. So on Sundays, I will set my alarm for 5 o'clock. When my alarm rings, it'll tell me get ready to budget in an hour. And so I'll go in there and I'll get my start getting my tea ready. I'll get my notebook, get my pens and my highlighters and stuff, and put that at my table where I'm gonna sit and budget. I will let my husband and my kids know, hey, I'm gonna be busy for about the next hour and a half, so don't bother me. I have things to do. I make sure is there anything y'all need before I get started, because I'll need quiet time and time alone. And then this one here is real important. Get used to tracking your expenses. Okay, so when you first start a budget, you need to know where you spending money. But see, you will have to either go backwards and look at all your bank statements, or you can do that and track your expenses moving forward if you don't have a lot to look back on. So I'll go more into detail about tracking expenses a little bit later so you'll understand. But just know that if you spending money off your card and you spending money with cash and you're in a store, you may have some receipts from the store stuffed in your purse. You may have your bank statement with transactions on there. So you need to make sure that you are tracking your expenses. So when you go and you spend cash, don't throw those receipts away. Make sure you just put them in your purse in a separate pocket. And then when you swipe in your card, of course that'll show up on your bank statement. So you'll have to get your bank statement and go through all your expenses. So that's the first thing you'll do, is sit down and start tracking your expenses. So you will get your bank statement and you will sit down with it and you'll look like, okay, so on the first I went to Walmart, I spent 50 whatever dollars. On the third, in the dollar store, I spent 20 such and such dollars. Okay, so those transactions right there, where did that money go on? A lot of times I have no idea if I don't have a receipt. So I have the Walmart app. I'll go look in the app. Okay, my bank statement said I made a purchase on the first. So I'll go look through my receipts on that app. And on the first, okay, I noticed I bought groceries. So I know that $50 was spent on groceries in Walmart on the first. So when I'm tracking my expenses, that's something I know I need to fuck. How many times was this for groceries? How many times was this for household? How many times, this store trip right here, what was that for? If I have receipts, paper receipts, I'll keep them in my purse and try to go through them. But I do understand that that's a lot. So we will track our basic main expenses, and then we'll just continue to track our expenses moving forward in the future. If you don't have your bank statements and your receipts and everything all laid out and easy for you, all your transactions in one place, there is a budgeting rule called the 50-30-20 rule. And this rule recommends that you put 50% of your monthly income towards your needs like rent, food, gas, important needs that you can't live without. Put 30% towards your wants and 20% towards savings. So, for example, we are going off a monthly income of $2,000. So this rule recommends that we only spend 1,000 toward rent, food, gas, all the needs. 30% or 600, that part should go towards your wants, and then 20% should go towards savings. That's $400. In my opinion, this is not a common budgeting rule for today's time because most people's rent is more than half of their income alone. At least the people that I know, I mean, everybody tells me the rent is being raised. Rent is being raised. No income is being raised, but the rent is. So I know that this is not likely to happen right now, but this is something that I want to work towards. I do want to work toward getting myself within these limits.